Another head-spinning day in Washington.
Oh, my gosh. If you think it couldn't get any more unbelievable. The day culminated with this now iconic photo of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi standing among a room full of men with her finger pointed at the president. It was tweeted by the president after a contentious White House meeting with congressional leaders discussing the situation in Syria.
By the way, look at the men to the right of the president. There's a reason why their heads are bowed. There's a reason why they look ashamed, because they know that this liberal House Speaker from San Francisco, California, knows best in that room what is best for national security, what is best for our men and women in uniform, what is best for the United States of America's national security, not betraying our allies, not strengthening Iran. Just look at them hanging their heads in shame.
Incredibly symbolic picture of everything that is going on. We're told these talks broke down and ended with Democratic leaders walking out. The president later tweeted, "Nancy Pelosi needs help fast. There's either something wrong with her upstairs or she just plain doesn't like our great country."
Yeah, don't read the rest of that. That's so stupid. You know what? People who love America knows that America gets strengthened. Take that down. That America gets strengthened, Mika, when our allies are strengthened and when our enemies, people who want to destroy us, are actually, we resist them.
Things went south when Pelosi explained to the president that Russia has always wanted a foothold in the Middle East and now has one with the U.S. withdrawal. We're told Pelosi then said to Trump, quote, "All roads with you lead to Putin." Wow, well, that explains his tweet. He was called out. With Trump responding, "I hate ISIS more than you do," she hit back saying, "You know that. You don't know that." As the AP notes, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer intervened at one point and said, "Is your plan to rely on the Syrians and the Turks?" Trump replied, "Our plan is to keep the American people safe." Pelosi said, "That's not a plan. That's a goal." Trump also suggested that Democrats liked the Kurds in part because they included some communists. Democratic leaders say it was when the president called Pelosi a, quote, third-grade politician, possibly meaning third-rate, that they got up and left, with the president telling them on the way out, "Goodbye, we'll see you at the polls." Multiple aides say at one point during the meeting, Trump also called his former defense secretary, Jim Mattis, the world's most overrated general, saying, according to one aide, he wasn't tough enough. "I captured ISIS. Mattis said it would take 2 years. I captured them in 1 month." The contentious meeting was the first time Trump and Pelosi have been in the same room since she declared an official launch of the impeachment inquiry. The House Speaker says that issue did not come up. Here's some of what the Democrats had to say after the meeting.
What we witnessed on the part of the president was a meltdown. Sad to say.
He was insulting, particularly to the Speaker. She kept her cool completely, but he called her a third-rate politician. This was not a dialogue. It was sort of a diatribe, a nasty diatribe.
What did the president say that got this meeting on the wrong foot? Leader Schumer said he called you a third-rate politician. He said you were sympathetic.
Grade.
A third grade. Thank you for clarifying.
Grade. And I said, I wish you were a politician.
You know, we just need to stop right there. I mean, you know, Willie, it's just so remarkable. You just look at the president's tweets and you hear what he said yesterday. This is a man who is isolated and by himself. The Pentagon disagrees with him. The State Department disagrees with him. Republicans disagree with him. In fact, an overwhelming majority of Republicans disagree with him. Lindsey Graham just absolutely scolded a State Department official that came over. And he talked about how this strengthened the Iranians, this strengthened the Russians, this strengthened Assad. It weakened Israel. It weakened the Kurds. And then, as if the insanity was not enough, Donald Trump parroted the words of Erdogan and actually said that our allies, the Kurds, who helped destroy ISIS, were a greater threat than ISIS themselves. A dark, dark day for America at home and with our allies and unfortunately our enemies. The message we send to our enemies that we are weak, that we capitulate, that Donald Trump is scared, that he's a frightened man, that he will always surrender. He is the head of the Surrender Caucus, but that caucus keeps getting smaller by the day. He is a man alone.
Joe, let's underline what the president said yesterday. He said the PKK, the Kurds, with whom we've been fighting to defeat ISIS, who we just abandoned a week or so ago, was worse than ISIS. Let's listen to what he said.
And the Kurds are much safer right now, but the Kurds know how to fight. And as I said, they're not angels. They're not angels. If you take a look, you have to go back and take a look. But they fought with us. We paid a lot of money for them to fight with us, and that's okay. They did well when they fought with us. They didn't do so well when they didn't fight with us. And I say, why are we protecting Syria's land? Assad's not a friend of ours. Why are we protecting their land? And Syria also has a relationship with the Kurds, who, by the way, are no angels. If Russia is going to help in protecting the Kurds, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. Now, the PKK, which is a part of the Kurds, as you know, is probably worse at terror and more of a terrorist threat in many ways than ISIS. So it's a very semi-complicated, not too complicated if you're smart, but it's a semi-complicated problem. And I think it's a problem that we have very nicely under control.
That is a stunning remark, and Republicans said so. Democrats did, but even Republicans were saying that that was a stunning and appalling remark. So, Joe, what the backdrop was yesterday was a vote, 354 to 60 in the House, to rebuke the president on this question of stepping aside for the Turks to go into Syria. That's a huge vote. That's a lot of Republicans, including some who were sitting in that room with him when Nancy Pelosi stood across from the table and wagged her finger at him. He put out this wild letter dated October the 9th that I guess he thought made him look, in hindsight, like a tough guy, like he was going to go after Erdogan. If it went out when the president says it went out, Erdogan clearly threw it in the garbage and sent his troops into northeast Syria. Report in the Wall Street Journal, Joe, that we are bombing our own bases in Syria as our troops move aside so that Russians and Turks can't occupy those bases. He's made a colossal mistake, and now he's trying to rationalize it.
Well, we're bombing our bases. There is a chaotic, frantic retreat. Donald Trump has once again surrendered. He's once again appeased Vladimir Putin. Again, as everybody knows that watches this show, this is the first time since 1973 that Russia has been in the Middle East. Donald Trump is now ceding that region to Vladimir Putin. It makes no sense. He is now a parrot of Erdogan, calling the Kurds our closest allies over the past several years, fighting to destroy ISIS. He's now saying they're more dangerous than ISIS. We had an Adam Kinzinger tweet up. Obviously, Adam and everybody else just in horror. Wow, we bombed our own base on purpose because of the impulsive decision by real Donald Trump. He didn't leave time to evacuate the right way. Is this Republicans? Is this, asks Adam Kinzinger, the America that you grew up believing in? Mika, I cannot tell you what I would do to a Democrat on a campaign trail when I was running for Congress that capitulated to Putin, that bombed our own outposts, that attacked our closest allies, that capitulated to Vladimir Putin at Helsinki, that surrendered to Kim Jong-un time and time again, made a fool of himself time and time again to Kim Jong-un, and basically capitulated to the worst communists, the worst dictators, the worst tyrants on the globe. That's who the Republicans have now running their country. That